I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. Today the video is going to be about Achilleas. Achillea, or sometimes known as Yarrow, are a very old cottage garden style plant. They're also a plant that can be used and have been used for medicinal purposes, and that is something that you need to look up for yourself. From this point of view for the video, I am doing these as garden plants, where you should be growing them and what to do with them. So I've got a few different varieties here. We have got some which have got narrow green leaf, like this particular one. Others which have a much more cut and divided leaf, like so. And then some which have a grey leaf, like this particular one. So they are all different types, they all require different growing conditions, and they have different coloured flowers. So let's start with the green leaf forms. We've got these two here. We've got the Achillea, ptarmica, Boule de Neige, and this is from the pearl group. The pearl group are very narrow leaved, as I say, go up. And this particular variety can get quite tall. It will get somewhere around about 90 centimetres to a metre, so that is 3.5 feet in height. And then it spreads. These will make huge big clumps. You can see from the way that it is growing here in the bottom of the pot that it is going to go out. So don't put these in a small garden because they will take over completely. Within 2 years, you will be getting a clump at least 2 feet round. That is 60 centimetres. That is quite a bit of growth, and they are quite tall. If you put them in very good soil, they will take over, so do be very careful with that. But with this narrow green leaf, they will tolerate a little bit of shade, so part shade, somewhere where they are in sun for part of the day, shade for part of the day is absolutely fine. They should not need to be staked, but if you do, just get yourself some of those round metal stakes that can just go in as the plant is growing up, put those in, and then it will grow up and be held up. This has beautiful bobble-like white flowers on the top of it. Really good form, good for cutting. If you like to do cut flowers for the house, then this one is a good one for that. So that one is ptarmica, pearl group, Boule de Neige. Now that is tall, and a lot of the original ptarmicas were tall. Straight ptarmica species has a single white flower and is slightly shorter, and I think that is what they've used in the breeding to get this new plant. And this one is Achillea ptarmica Peter Cottontail, and this is much more compact, much shorter, but still going to make a really big clump. You're talking about a plant which is coming into flower, and it's just putting on its flower buds now, not quite fully out. Lovely round, almost cotton ball little heads on here, and lots of flower all the way up the stem. It is something that is going to be 18 inches in height, so a foot to 18 inches, 30 to 45 centimetres, and then widthwise, again, it's going to grow quickly and get to 2 feet 60 centimetres within 2 years. A good front of the border filler, or for a container. They can all be grown in containers, and these flower for a good length of time. So this again will take part shade. Then you get the ones which have the grey foliage, and these, the foliage is quite divided, and it's a good grey colour. Grey stems, and then some of these grey ones, the majority of them have these bright yellow flowers. This one is Moonshine, really good variety, flowering quite early on in the summer. These flower heads will stay there looking good, and then eventually they'll die off. They don't die off too badly, so you can leave them there as an ornamental, or you can cut back, because if you get rid of this, you will see that there are new flower shoots coming here, so you can actually get more flower coming off this at a later date. All Achilleas appreciate being cut down low, so once they have finished flowering, do cut them down to nearly ground level, including the ptarmica types, because that will encourage them to grow, put on more growth, and you will get secondary flowering off them. So this one is Moonshine. This one will tolerate full sun, free draining soil, a really good variety. Going to get up to around about 2 feet in height, so 60 centimetres, and about the same around after 3 years. You can divide it once the plant has got a bit bigger. Then you go on to these ones, which are the much more divided cut green leaf, and these are the Milfolium types. This particular one is Lachsschonheit or Salmon Beauty. Lovely sort of salmon flesh coloured flowers on this, open panicles of head, not quite so tight as the yellow forms there. Lots and lots of flower to come on this. It's a mid-height one, somewhere between 20 inches and 30 inches in height. So what's that, about 40 to 50, 60 centimetres you're going to get this to be, and then it spreads and makes a decent clump. With the green leaf, they'll tolerate a little bit of part shade, but they're happier if it is slightly sunnier. So this one is Lachsschonheit, and that one is a mid-height. Then this beautiful bigger open flower one here is Gloria Jean. The individual florets on this are much, much bigger than the florets on the other form. That is why the flower head looks so much bigger. And you can see that that is all coming off one stem. So you've got your main bit and then all your side pieces, and then these shoots are going to come up as well. You will get a beautiful head of flower on there. Gloria Jean is a beautiful variety. Sun or part shade, somewhere between 18 inches and 2 feet, 45 centimetres to 60 centimetres, and again about 18 inches round as a clump. These are all divisible, and again you can cut down the stems once they've finished, and that will encourage them to keep going. If you want something slightly taller, then this one here has got much narrower dark stems to go up with, and it's going to go up to somewhere between 3 and 4 feet, so between 90 and 120 high. This one is known as Ruby Wine. It's got very narrow cut divided foliage, so a much narrower foliage than the other two I've shown you, but again it's going to make big clumps. Wiry, slightly smaller, but beautiful wine red flower heads, and it's a slightly later coming into flower than the other varieties as well. So those are your early summer, this is your midsummer, and a really good form. This is for middle to the back of the border. Most Achilleas don't tend to get much in the way of pest and disease. You might get the odd caterpillar, but that's easily washed off with a little bit of soft soap. Now, these are what I would call, except for Peter Cottontail, the rest of them are much older breeding varieties. There are new varieties out there. There are some lovely new strong colours, some dwarfer ones available. You can also get alpine Achilleas, which are really, really tiny. These ones, though, are your good mainstay ones for your herbaceous borders to mix in with all the other plants. They look great with, say, daisies or anything else. They soften up planting. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel.